It happened on a Saturday morning just after sunrise. I had barely unhitched my boat when a woman with a clipboard stormed up and told me I was trespassing. She threatened to call the cops if I didn't move. What she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I owned the entire lake she was trying to kick me off of. Act 1. The conflict sparks. My name's Clarence Rucker, 47 years old. I live about 10 minutes outside Springfield, Missouri, in a modest single-story house with peeling green paint and a loyal old dog named Jasper. I don't need much. Give me a cup of coffee, a fishing rod, and a quiet lake, and I'm good. That morning I was looking forward to peace. I had polished up my old aluminum boat the night before, poured fresh coffee in my thermos, and rolled out to Mayfield Lake. That lake isn't just water to me, it's where my dad taught me to cast a line when I was a kid, where he stood barefoot with a fish in hand and the biggest grin on his face. 3 years ago, I made sure that memory stayed alive by buying the property through a trust. The deed, the taxes, the maintenance all mine. So when I heard the crunch of footsteps behind me, I figured maybe it was a neighbor coming to say hello. Instead, I turned around and saw her. Mid-50s, short blonde hair, sunglasses perched on her head like she was running the place. She clutched that clipboard like it was a sheriff's badge. "You can't park that here," she barked. I blinked. "I'm sorry." "This lot is private," she snapped. "For community use only. You need to move that boat." I set my wrench down and stood up. "Morning. You live here?" "I'm on the HOA board," she said, puffing up like she'd just announced she was governor. "And you're not on the list of permitted lake users. This lake is restricted to the Mayfield Hills Fishing Club. You're trespassing." Her name was Teresa Holcomb, and from the way she said it, I could tell she thought it carried weight. I tried to keep calm. "I've fished here plenty of times, never had an issue." "Well, you've got one now." She tapped her pen against that clipboard like it was a gavel. "Either you move your boat, or I'll call this in." That word "this," like I was some problem to be filed away. I asked her straight, "Are you sure you want to push this?" She smirked. "Excuse me, you might want to double-check who owns this lake." And she laughed shrill like a bird squawking. "Is that supposed to intimidate me?" I didn't flinch. "Do you know who purchased this lake 3 years ago? Who maintains it, pays taxes on it, signed off on your fishing club's access?" For a second I saw it. Her face cracked a flicker of doubt. But then she straightened. "You're bluffing." "All right," I said, clipping my boat back onto the trailer. "Do what you have to do." "You'll be hearing from the board," she sneered. And just like that, Teresa had started a war she wasn't ready for. Act 2. Escalation and the turning point. By the time I was drifting near the reeds later that morning, Teresa was back this time in a white HOA golf cart with some young security guy riding shotgun. He had a walkie clipped to his belt, nervous as could be. Teresa planted her feet on the dock like she was leading a courtroom drama. "Clarence Rucker," she shouted, "this is your final warning. You're in violation of HOA regulations. Leave immediately." I waved casually. "Morning again." "Teresa." She didn't like that. "I've contacted the sheriff's office. You'll be removed if you don't comply." The young guard leaned in, whispered something to her, probably telling her to slow down. She shook her head, dismissing him. I called out, "That man with you got a badge or just a walkie?" "Don't worry about that," she snapped. "Well, if you're going to accuse someone of trespassing," I said evenly, "you might want to make sure you're not the one trespassing first." The guard asked for ID. I told him it was in my truck and I'd show it to the deputy when he arrived. Teresa's face flushed red. She couldn't stand it. But here's the thing. This wasn't just about a boat. It was about control. And she was losing hers. The days after that were hell. Flyers slipped into my mailbox. Anonymous calls at night. People at the grocery store whispering, staring. Someone even printed a bold headline. "Local man revokes community lake access retaliation or power grab." I'd never been called community enemy number 1 before, but apparently Teresa was on a mission to crown me. And I'll admit there were moments it worked. One night I sat at my kitchen table staring at an old photo of my dad holding a fish, smiling like the world was simple. I muttered, "Dad, maybe I should have just let it go. Maybe I'm making this worse." I felt small, like maybe the whole neighborhood was right and I was the villain. For a minute I thought about giving in, signing it all away just for peace. But then I opened my filing cabinet. The blue folder sat there, deed transfer trustee papers, the original HOA agreement, and clear as day. Their fishing rights had expired 10 months ago. No gray area, no loopholes. The lake was mine. Access had always been a courtesy, not a right. That was my turning point, because if I gave in, I wouldn't just lose the lake, I'd lose respect for myself. And then came the allies. Billy Waller, a neighbor with oil-stained overalls, stopped me at the hardware store. "Not all of us feel the way she does," he said, shaking my hand. "She once told my wife our porch furniture didn't match the neighborhood aesthetic." Imagine that telling a grown man what chair to sit in. I couldn't help but laugh. Then Andrea Preston, a younger woman recently voted onto the HOA board, called me. "I just want to apologize," she said. "Teresa doesn't speak for all of us. Some of us are embarrassed. If you're willing, would you speak at the next meeting? People need to hear from you, not just her version." That sealed it. I wasn't backing down. Act 3. The Showdown and Justice. The community room filled wall to wall that evening. Folding chairs crammed in rows, people standing along the walls, even spilling out the door. More turnout than for budget talks or pool renovations. I stood near the front in jeans and a plain button-up shirt. No podium, no papers, just me. Teresa sat dead center in the first row, arms crossed so tight her knuckles were white. Ron Castile, the acting president, opened. "We're here to address the situation with lake access. Clarence Rucker has agreed to speak." I stepped forward, let the silence hang for a moment. Then I said, "My father brought me to this lake when I was 10 years old. Long before this neighborhood existed, we fished here together. 3 years ago, I bought the lake through a trust to honor his legacy. And since then, I've let this community enjoy it, no fees, no conditions. I just expected respect." A murmur rolled through the crowd. I looked directly at Teresa. But when someone walks up, threatens to call the cops, writes my name down like I'm a criminal, that's not rules, that's disrespect. A woman in the back said, "She didn't know who you were." I nodded. She didn't ask. That line landed hard. People shifted in their seats. "This isn't about punishing the community," I continued. "It's about accountability. You've been using something that doesn't belong to you, without renewing agreements, without maintaining it, and without even thinking about the person who's kept it open all this time." Silence. Heavy. Then Teresa shot up, voice tight. "Why didn't you just come to us? Why cut everyone off?" I locked eyes with her. "Because you came to me first with a clipboard and a threat." Her mouth opened, but no words came. Slowly, she sank back down. Ron cleared his throat. "Clarence is within his rights. The agreement expired. This started because of how he was treated." The room went still, and for the first time, Teresa had no power. Within weeks, she stepped down from the HOA board. Officially, it was for personal reasons. Everyone knew the truth. Final line. The lesson. Sometimes the loudest thing you can do is stand your ground quietly, because real respect isn't demanded, it's earned.